Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man. Haven't done one of these in a while, but this is a student. His name is Mike. He's from Atlanta, and just wanted him to share his story. It's probably similar to a lot of you all that have done deals or still trying to do deals. You're going to have a lot of things to share with you. Um, on his journey and trying to make this business work, which he has had some success. He has some bumps in the road, but it all is a learning process to get where he wants to go. Mike, you there?
Yeah, so how's it going?
Oh, it's going well. It's going well. Don't want to keep you long. I know you're in the middle of your day, so basically, I just want to open it up and just find out what the first question is. How did you get interested in real estate investing, namely wholesaling?
I got into real estate back in 2009. I was working a job and for Bank of America and a job, and that's something I wanted to do. So I went online one night and I saw you, talk about getting into wholesaling, no money down, no credit check, and I went in and bought your course and give it a shot at it. So I got your course, and I'm figuring, by far the step is going to be an easy selling, and happened to be it wasn't. I had a lot of learning curves per se that I was going through, as far as learning to talk to the sellers, marketing, things of that nature. So it took me a long period of time to get my first deal, and when I finally put the pieces together, I ended up getting my first deal. And my first deal I made about $5,600.
Okay. Could you explain how, number one, you located that deal? And if I remember correctly, there was some issues with the seller. I think it was a husband and wife, and they're differing in opinion on what the house should sell for. But first, how did you actually find that first deal?
I found the deal off a banner sign. Let me go back. I first found the deal when I was doing driving for dollars. It was a vacant property, and the seller, interested, but him and the wife wasn't agreeing on the price. So I took I left it as a dead deal. A couple months later, I put out a banner sign, and this happened to call me. Recognize my number, happened to call me. And they called me and it was telling me that they was definitely interested in doing the deal. So we went ahead, did the deal. I locked the property up with a contract. I went to go find a buyer.
Do you remember what price you had it under contract for?
I had a contract for 25K.
Okay, what was do you remember what the ARV was on it?
The ARV that was around 40 to 45.
Okay, that's an interesting deal. That's a learning moment for me. There's no way I could pull that off here in my market with that close of a margin. But so yeah, you put it under contract for $25,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and okay, go ahead with the what happened after that once you put it under contract.
Okay. I put in the contract. I did what's called the frenzy method that I learned from another gentleman. Basically, I had a bunch of investors come to the property at the same time,
Okay.
and two of the investors, one guy he wanted to offer me a little bit less money. The other guy wanted to give me my actual asking price. So we went ahead, locked the deal up. During the whole process, the buyer did some numbers, and he came back to me and asked me, can you get a lower, reduced price?
What was the original contract price that you got with the buyer, the first contract price that you got before you changed it?
25K.
No, not with the seller, but with the buyer.
Oh, the buyer for 29.5.
Okay, all right.
So me and let's pause. The property was actually sitting on a land between a church and the actual property. The driveway, which was a big dispute, it was a dispute over the driveway that the buyer had an issue with. So I had to
Okay.
go back. So I had to track down the owner of the church that was directly across the street. I had to negotiate with them to can we at least get the driveway. So he agreed to let's get the whole driveway. So I had to go back to the Casbah, let them know that they agreed to it. They signed a dinner to let them have the driveway. So a week later, the Casbah is calling back again, asking me to get a lower price because there were some repairs that need to be done that his contractor came out and took a look at. So I went back to the seller and asked for a reduced price. And the reduced price I asked him was 10,000 for more than what we agreed to.
Okay.
So
And what happened after that? What did they
yeah,
say?
it wasn't a good situation, but at first they was going to do it. A couple days later, they got a sign on their door, for the because I just found out at this time they was behind on the taxes, and they was basically going to take over the property if the tax not paid by the end of that month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So that kind of put a little more pressure into them getting the deal done. So they went ahead and agreed to the reduced price, which was 17K.
Okay. All right. So who was the holdup in that deal? Was it was the husband, if I remember correctly, that didn't want to reduce the price initially?
Yeah, it was her husband. He didn't want to take no more than 25. The wife was willing to do it because the property already belongs to her dad who passed away years ago,
Uh-huh.
and she just wanted to get. And she had her niece living in the property, and she just wanted to get rid of it.
Okay. All right.
So, so the husband and the wife was going back and forth about the money. So she called me early. It was early Monday morning of this day, and she said, "Can I can I go ahead and send the contract over? She just want to get out of her hands." So
Okay.
we wrote the contract, agreed to 17K. The buyer agrees to the price that we agreed to, which was 24.5,
Okay.
and we went into close and went in or a couple of days later.
Okay. So I assume you had to pay some of the closing costs for it to come down to your initial, your ending profit of 5,600.
Right. The me and the cash buyers agreed to pay. I agreed to pay 50/50 on the closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe and another thing that was in the agreement was I had to pay to have a little fence put up so that way it will block this person get the property land get the property and the church get their side of their property.
I got you.
So I agreed to pay for that as well. And when everything closed out, I ended up getting a $5,600 check.
Okay. What was that like to finally see that it succeeded? Because you basically went dormant on it for a couple of years to get, well,
Yeah.
more than that, to get to that point. What was that first check like for you?
Oh man, it felt so good, man. I was just ecstatic. I was so happy about it. All the hard work I put in is finally paid off.
What I know recently we spoke, again, really how we got to this point. I know you did a couple more deals a few months later. What I like to do is to share because it's similar to my situation when I first got started. I did my first deal in March of 2003, but I didn't do another deal. I mean, early March. Matter of fact, the date was March 5th, 2003. I didn't do another deal until June of that year. And I think your situation is similar, that you've done a couple more deals since then. But what do you think? was the delay in you doing additional deals from that first deal?
The main delay was, I had a lot of learning curve after what I was learning that I didn't realize that this was actual business. I kind of took it as something I would do on the side once in a blue moon. But when
Yeah,
I closed that first deal, I basically invested some of the money into marketing,
I got you.
and I purchased more banner signs, and I'm going driving for dollars every Saturday, and I really just turned into a business. I already just took 100% focus on consistent marketing mainly.
I got you. Similar to myself, I the girl that I was dating at the time, you know, I would put one house on the contract, and for some reason they would fall through. And she said, I know you know more than me about this, but wouldn't it be a good idea if you put more than one house on the contract at a time, just in case a deal didn't work out? So you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
But I was similar to you. I was, I guess I didn't treat it like a business myself because I had a job. So, it wasn't my main source of income, and I was really still riding high off the initial $2,500 that I made on my first deal, which is not a lot of money, but me at the time, it was a lot of money. And so,
Right.
a very, very, very simple pattern. I know after this conversation, you and I are going to talk about some of the things that you're going to do in the future as far as marketing, which I'll go ahead and mention some of those. I know that you texted me over some pictures of some handwritten bandit signs that you created. And this is
hmm
just to share with anyone that will watch this video in the future is that the main thing about that is that you always have to remember is that you only have that small space, normally maybe 12 by 18 or 18 by 24, as far as the sign to get your message across. And so you have to limit yourself. You're limited to the amount of words that you can use. And I know we want to be a little different than what's already out there. We buy houses, I buy houses, I pay cash for houses, but you're limited on what you can actually say because of the small space, because you always have to remember is that you're putting these small signs in traffic, and so visibility is a huge part of it. And if you're going to do handwritten signs, the size of the marker that you use is important, and obviously the stroke of that marker, which makes it more visible. So with that being said, the size of the marker and the tip that's used, the 3 to 4 words that you can only use, and you still have to include your phone number. So all of that has to be taken in consideration. And the placement of those bandit signs is key also, in the sense you always just simply, the one rule I always follow, if I was sitting in that car at this corner, can I read this sign, even if I wasn't looking for it, would this sign catch my eye? So when I'm putting them out, that's the first thing that I think of. I've been doing it so long. And I guess people say, well, why do you put them out yourself? Because I paid people over the years and paid them a lot of money thinking, paying more would increase, I guess, the level of them doing it the way I want it done correctly. And it's not brain surgery, but it falls back to it's not their money, it's not their business. I don't think they can say, well, I put the signs out, but yeah, there's a right way to put them out. Now, obviously, the bandit signs is not the only way to market. You can go with the direct mail. With direct mail, namely yellow letters, you have to be a lot more patient with those than bandit signs, because you can put bandit signs out today and start getting calls today. Whereas with direct mail, you can send out a campaign. First problem with that is you don't ever know when people actually get them, even though you can be sending to the same city, but the postal service, there's no rhyme or reason, with how people receive mail. So, and then everybody's not going to respond the same. So a lot of people, they won't throw your piece of mail away. They'll put it away for future for future use, because they know in the future there may be a possibility that they may want to sell that house. So you have to be consistent. If you can only afford to send them out once a month, make sure that's just once a month. But do expect it's going to take a little time. Then also it means how many you're sending out. If you're sending out 1,000 a month, obviously you're going to get calls. But you only send out
Right.
100 a month, it's going to be a little slower. But you send out 100 a week, now you're talking about something. You know what I'm saying? Because it will really start to snowball over that third and fourth week because people will start to follow up with you. My student in Ohio, she's been the best at it that I've seen with the direct mail. She actually had to stop her campaign because of how many calls she was getting. She just couldn't handle a family situation and getting out to seeing properties and entertain the calls. So she had to slow her marketing down, which is mainly direct mail. Now she is doing bandit signs now, but she jump started her business from direct mail, from a direct mail campaign. So, but this is not all about that. Like I said, I just wanted to share that, which we're going to talk about it once this conversation ends. But, but marketing is the key, which you know that. It's just a simple numbers game. I know people get tired of hearing that, but you have to talk to a lot of people to get to a deal. In most cases, and sometimes when you're starting this business, you're fortunate you may get a call, in your first few calls, and it may be a deal, but I try not to give people that perception that that's the way it's going to work. That's exactly how it happened for me, but that's not the norm. I don't think, over the course of a normal month, if I have 100 people call me over a 30-day cycle, that's an average of about 3 calls per day. That's generally what that'll turn into, is about 3 deals, 3 to maybe 4, maybe 5 deals for that month. And I'll actually probably go out and look at maybe 10 properties in that to get to those 3 deals. So it's not like you're going to be going out and taking a look at every property that someone's calling you about. You're only going to go look at the properties that over the phone the numbers appear to work. And once you get out there, you'll be able to confirm whether or not it's something that you can work with.
Got you.
But man, I know you're in the middle of your day on your normal 9 to 5. I really appreciate you giving us this time to share your story on your first deal and sort of where you are right now. I'd just like to mention to anyone out there, obviously, you need to take advantage of the free content that I offer on YouTube. It's over 100 videos. You don't ever have to call me. It's all there. But, if that's not fast enough and you need a coach, you can go to junkers101.com and sign up for the coaching and mentoring. Mike, is there anything you would like to share before we end this call?
Oh yeah. If those two getting started out there, understand it's a process. It's nothing get rich quick. But the key is just be consistent at your marketing, and deals will come. Deals will follow.
All right, man. I really appreciate it, man, and I'll be talking to you in a few minutes.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right.